have Paul Henninge, who is going to be speaking about communication, a love tragedy.
My name is Paul Henninge, and I like to take photographs and integrate communications into them. Not always photographs, but I integrate these visual images, and I do it for contrast, or I'm trying to make a social statement. I've been doing this a long time. Back in the last century, I was using film, and I was taking a photography class, and I came across this political campaign, and of course I don't have to point out the mistakes of the stencil work and the unfortunate last name, but I just sat there with my camera and I composed and I waited for the next pickup truck to come over the hill. My first trip in Europe, of course the signs are silly, and I'm silly too because I don't understand them, but in Europe they use the triangles for a warning sign, and squares and rectangles are reserved for information. Red is the alert color. Here in North America, we're accustomed to using the yellows. I call it taxi cab yellow. I mean, what kind of guy takes a selfie of his bride like this on his wedding day, right? But we have 3 of these speed tables on Pine Street, but nobody really knows what they are, and they're not even labeled. But anyone could put yellow on a sign, but it doesn't really. Maybe it should have a warning kind of designation if it's with all the gas lines, or the irony of the 2 other signs. I just can't drive past this stuff without photographing it. When my mother passed away, I went into the pantry, and my mom was a nervous Nelly kind of character, and she really cooked bland food. So when I came across this thing of hot peppers and saw her handmade label, I had to document for posterity. I mean, don't even breathe. Now, it's not just signs. I'm taking pictures of monitors or CCTV images because, I'm not going to I got to take a little ownership over my likeness. Here it says recording in progress. And now, from what I've read, that has to be stated when they actually broadcast your image. They're allowed to record the whole time they want to, if it's their property or it's a public space. Now, if it's a private space, like a changing room or a bathroom, you're going to want to make sure you get permission before you even start to photograph or record anything. Now, so you can imagine how I felt the next image. And I was just enthralled with this beautiful purple, brown, textured, this was from a 1940s institutional setting. And the tri-colored yellow, beautiful typography with the little serifs, it was really pretty. Had to document it. My daughter's 15 or 16 here, and she's right at the end of her princess phase, and I probably fought that too much. And I see that, what she orders, and I pick this up, and I'm like, how much did this cost? And I'm taking a picture of it. And she would never let me take a picture at this age of her, but I kind of like the result. Now, I'm not a Gen Zer. I don't really get the fuzzies thing or the furry animals. I apologize if I offend anyone. So I saw this trio walking down Main Street. I'm in my car zooming in on my phone like, oh my God, this is so funny. And then I had to wait until they got in front of the comedy club, of course, before I snapped off the picture. Saw this jalopy of a car in a parking lot, and there's this really cool emblem on it, and I zoom into it. And when something has to kind of state how important it is, it loses its credentials, doesn't it? I mean, this thing was neither a collector nor an edition. Conversely, in Quebec City, there's a fashion store, and I kind of like it when something spoofs or makes fun of what its own endeavor is. La mode is fashion in French, and that shows a little humanity to me. It earns its respect to some degree. Now, not all communications are meant for the moment that you actually read them. Some are reserved for special moments. This is in an elevator. And I'd never noticed this before, and I thought, well, geez, that's for claustrophobic people. That's going to make them calm down. It's to placate them. But I'm not sure a red flashing light is necessarily the way to go about it. Now, this has all sorts of things wrong with it. I'm glad you find it funny. But I want you to pay special attention to the punctuation because it's special. Now read it to yourself. I think the sign does the opposite of what its intention is. Don't you all want to just push that button? Now, we don't need absolutely do not. Now we have this symbol, the prohibition symbol. And that was sort of invented around the late 20s in Europe. And then it became normalized in the 80s when the computer technology was really young. And you know, when your trusted steed in the early years was like sickened by bad software or something, it had to take every last breath it could just to get out the most minimal image. And I'm really heartened to see that that actually is still the case today, because I think there's a little humanity somewhere in there. Now, when I first saw this police car, I assure you it was very far away. And thank you very much, but now it looks very close, and I don't like the mirror telling me it's in fact closer than what it appears. Some communications get messed with and defaced, and I took a picture of this concrete wall. The letter no, or the word no is gone, and I think what I'm trying to say here is sometimes it's the very audience that the sign is intended for or is trying to communicate about that defaces the sign. And I don't want to fall into that category, but my last name is a little weird, so if I see something that comes remotely close, I'm going to take advantage of this communication and make it mine.